Area, hey, the level show, cannot be here. Hey, I salute now, my very good people. Hey, I holla not too much. Greetings, not too much. Well, I see why I keep saying it. You guys are just go yourself on. It's just because of your comments, your likes, your share, your subscribe. In fact, I just holla not too much. Respect. Hey, he choke. Now, our former governors, we be say they don't rule for different states. They can't open their case file. I will come see and say, man, the money where they receive, these people, money where they receive, you go reach one state, say better. They say the things they be say after they not be governor again, no. Like they call them past governors. Past one, no. They call them glutinous governors. Glutons. Then they chop the resources where they are bank accounts. Where they everywhere, my people. Yeah. I go bring on the video. They say reach about 700 million where they receive a year. I know we're more up my year. Plus all the small things we say they run the pension and all that so that they give them. Hey, you people are wicked. You people are wicked. Straight to the next news we'll get. We'll come see and say Abakari, they don't grant him bail of 50 million naira. You know, say before that they reject all the bills, we see that they propose, they give the judge, say, may they put on bail now, blah, blah, blah. They say, no, they don't want. But now, they don't talk, so make him go bring 50 million naira. Okay, so they don't say he get that money, so he go fit bring that money come out. Now remember say this Abakari in your case now very different case where be say it tangle where concerning drug where be say concerning hush puppy say now so it is and they smuggled drug they go different places and they can see trace am say this Abakari he get plenty assets. So for over 18 months they don't dey on Abakari case. Now they can't decide say they want grant and bail of 50 million naira. Guys, I beg, I wanna take check this whole thing because if you really look at me, this one go still make us understand say Emefiele own and the Bauer own, they feel still live there one day. So if they feel open Abakari on give her 50 million bail, I could they wonder not the same Tinubu will be say he did this whole thing will be say so make that case strong one kind. Why be say he go let them have their way to release them on bail for 50 million naira, which means say Emefiele on way under the DSS. Case they not let them carry go court. Judge not let them judge. How far we not know. Bauer on still there. How far we not know. Before we know what they happen, the next what the year say they don't release them. So the question be say why they suspend them and why they still keep their matter up till now. They never judge their matter. So which means waiting happen for Abakari on would the same sound for Emefiele on and Bauer on. My people, now I post that story for the now I go show now. It can't come Guinness Book of Record. We'll be saying nothing now Guinness then the rain now any small thing now the eatest person say you sabi chop where do one say you sabi do anything say they fly. You be wish they fly for 24 hours without no rest. You have to fly. Now Guinness Book of Record now talent now. So the extent we be say somebody come to say now they do massage or when you say if you massage you go massage you for plenty hours to 72 hours. They say the person do reach 30 hours the next thing you collapse. Otherwise for carry your top. He just go down. He collapse. The next we go the year say somebody come and say want to do the longest kiss hours. Hey, yeah. The longest kiss hours then he say he want do. Now Guinness Book of Record tell us say come see. And where all these things where they come for? I beg una go read our terms and conditions. Say which one be see the longest kiss hours? The other day with the year say the longest women are what they do is hours. Some people get mind though. God. So Sugar T, wait, also you want to do the longest tea hour. Then the state government say, "Come, not try this kind of nonsense for you. May you all get out." So Guinness Book of Records, they go and read our terms and conditions. Oh yeah, now I pause this. Next one, we can see Kasim. Kasi wey be say she no book well, man. Very intelligent girl from Deeper Life Bible in school. Now the girl from come out from the girl scrape you and me, scrape and jam. He scrape and she get the IS. The girl say, man, her mentor na Dr. Ben Cassie and Pastor W.F. Kumuyi. Say she they look up to those people. Imagine if you they say 90 something, 90 something, 90 something, 90 something, man. Hey, you and me be say some people do reach 5 times, some 10 times. Yeah, we know somebody will be say do reach 21 times to the extent we be say when he come go you and me come auto register now by the accept. Ah God, that one person you're clear as the one. What really interests me for what she talk now be say now the way they take prepare them. You understand? It's not like the girl was really intelligent, say she be genius. No, he said the school prepared them. He said there was no time to play. I studied hours about 6 hours. So which means that every day, if they read like that, they study like that, definitely the brain must open and it must assimilate, it must accumulate all those things we be say you they read. So it was hard work, dedication. And one thing she said we be say the thing really struck me. Where say prayer. I said they pray. Say that they pray. Oh. And about the school, so you could really see, say, man, this girl, she was prepared for it. So to the extent, many investors don't open their doors, say, I beg, me she don't come, say they want receive them. You see, she said, I dream one day now to see WF Kumuyi like 101. I mean, our dream don't come true. So that was, to me, just, can't talk about the tribunal and everything. Say not get up on the tribunal. Say based on waiting they call that man again. That our next year man. Matter will be saying they talk say 250 something people of INEC that did the election, they were corrupt. And for to me say the man is not, know what it is. He said they're stupid. He said they don't even know, say they don't already make me say they are trying to, just a group of people be say no they exist. They want to put the blame from their head. You think not see here for there, because they hear all this their court matter, blah blah blah. Go see pack all the evidence and pack everything come on the table. Mokona say this court matter the way they be right now. So we don't really know where we they go. That's the truth. Because if you look this whole thing, it's clear. It's supposed to just fast, like quick, because there is nothing to judge here now. Everything is crystal clear. They present blood and documents. That one alone self and now waiting go who confirm say man they are hiding something, but they are just making this whole thing look sluggish and make us look foolish. But one thing I understand is that Nigerians are watching the judiciary. So if Nigerians say the judiciary not talk well, then Nigerians will take actions, because they decide not to take out. They don't want to take laws into their hands because they know say the judiciary go try their best. But if the judiciary not try their best, I fear for Nigerians. I fear for the country. Because men go enter street where they look at because the judiciary need to do the right thing. Number one is either they give the mandate to the people, when they give them their mandates, give them who they vote for, which they go buy for market, when they give them, which they buy, or they cancel the election. Now two things. But because Bola Tinubu already start the race, so it already did that now. So they one day use the whole thing, they spend time, what can they do some things maybe say, right, but no go work. That's the truth. It not go work for now. All right, my people, fast, sharp. I will just bring one or two things come out. Maybe say, man, any news will be so miss. Now I just bring them in one pack. And not only that, my people now do well. And I almost want to thank you now. Why you guys are just too much. In fact, anytime I see the views, it's just encouraging me to do more, like more and more. Guys, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I keep saying it. I always say, oh no, here, oh no, what? In fact, from the deepest part of my heart, I say thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you again in my next video. This is Bod TV Bod, where we gather all the trends video together and show them to you in a short video. Thank you. I'll see you in my next video.
Senator representing Ogun East, Gbenga Daniel, in a memo that went viral on Thursday, asked that his pension as a former governor of the state be stopped. The senator, who was elected in February to represent Ogun East in the Red Chamber of the 10th National Assembly, in a memo which he posted on Twitter, said good conscience informed his decision to have his monthly payment suspended. Gbenga Daniel, however, stated, that apart from the pension, he has not benefited from any welfare package, such as medical, transportation, or furniture allowances since he left office in 2011. I am coming straight to you on this story. As you know, we've always been talking about reducing the cost of governance. This is such a refreshing memo that we got. Let me just take a tweet from IPC, who wrote, Senator Gbenga Daniel's decision to suspend his pension and allowances is a commendable one. Senator Daniel's decision is also a good example for other public officials to follow. We use this opportunity to ask you to propose a 50% reduction in the National Assembly budget. Nigeria is drowning in debt because of the high salaries of its public officials. The country cannot afford to continue to borrow to pay these salaries. A reduction in the National Assembly budget would free up resources that could be used to improve the lives of ordinary Nigerians. I have a list of governors that are still in the Senate, ex-governors that are still in the Senate, that are still benefiting from their pension. And, you know, it would be nice to see them follow this step. I know we have a GFX of those governors. One of them is... I'd like to call them out. Yes, we have Godswill Akpabio from Akwa Ibom. We also have Adam Soshomole from Edo State. We have Devu Mahi from Ebonyi State. We have Aminu Tamboa from Sokoto State. We also have Abubakar Sani Bello from Niger State. We have Ibrahim Dankwambo from Gombe State. Abdulaziz Yari, very top official, we should have him. Also follow Gbenga Daniel's footstep. We also have Aliyu Wamako from Sokoto State, Orji Kalu from Abia State, Ibrahim Gideon from Yobe State, and we also have Sariki Dixon from Bayelsa State, and Adamu Aliero from Kebbi State. Danjuma Goje from Gombe State. We should have all of these governors take a cue from Senator Gbenga Daniel.
Great example set by Senator Gbenga Daniel. When you reeled out those names, most of them had spent a minimum of 8 years in the House. So it means that 8 years of collecting pensions while still working and collecting salary and allowance from the House. How much money are they bleeding Nigeria and Nigerians from? That was the honorable thing to do. It is noble. But beyond that is what the IPC have said, and I totally align with that. That this is a first step. We commend it because we must commend, good moves. But the next step, which we're urging, because the reward for good work is what? More work. Is that they go on to the House and trim by 50% their allowances, salaries, if they really want to push that notion that indeed they want to stand for Nigerians and for the vulnerable in Nigeria. What we often say is that the president has called a number of times for us to make sacrifices, the austerity measures. This is a time when we're trying to fix our nation. We need to get our GDP up. We need to, get our debts, service our debts. So many things in terms of the economy. But it's not being reflected, leadership-wise. It's not being reflected in the House. We see our senators whose allowances are still shrouded like it's the state secret. But they often say, oh, we'll get the FOI, get our allowances. What we're asking for them to do is to take the higher road, be honorable. Can you propose a bill to slash salaries and allowances, even if it's a pay cut for a while? That would be what we'll praise from today onwards. But thank you very much, Senator Gbenga Daniel. We look forward to more announcements in the coming days.
Yes.
It is not good in good conscience to be collecting two salaries, as a senator and still as a governor.
In 2019, Zamfara State, the House of Assembly, they had decided to pass a piece of legislation cancelling pensions for former governors. As at that time, Zamfara State had about 3 former governors. And it was gulping over 700 million per annum, or perhaps even more, to maintain governors. That same 2019, SERAP, the NGO, the Social and Economic Rights Accountability Project, decided to go to court to ask for an order of mandamus to compel the Attorney General, Malami SAN, who was Attorney General then, to take action against pension laws by interrogating the legality of state pensions laws, because those state pensions laws had created an avenue to continue to feed fat on the resources of states and the federal government of Nigeria at the expense of ordinary people. In states where they don't pay salaries for 5-6 months or a whole year, where pensioners are not paid, where money is being wasted, then you have a man, because he has been governor, he will be collecting money for life. In some of the laws, on state pensions laws, once you stop being governor, you are entitled to a house in Abuja, you are entitled to a house in any part of Nigeria of your choice. You are given cooks, you are given vehicles, you are given medicals, your vehicles are changed almost on a 6-monthly basis. So it became controversial. And at that time, Serap was commended for taking that action. And when the matter went to court, Federal High Court, Abuja, presided over by Justice Oluremi Oguntoyibo, Justice Oguntoyibo ruled that nobody can be collecting double emoluments, because the specific focus now became those governors who were senators or who were ministers and were still pocketing money from both places out of greed, out of thinking that they've become parasites onto Nigeria, the Nigerian state, just because they served as a governor. And we hope that all those glutinous former governors and former senators who may still be collecting double emoluments will follow this good example and moderate their greed. And remember that when you are made governor or minister, the purpose is for you to serve. It's not for you to settle survival problems or challenges of your family from generation to generation.
Federal High Court in Abuja on Thursday granted bail to the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, in the sum of 50 million naira. Kyari was arrested on February 14, 2022, after the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency declared him wanted over alleged links with an international drug cartel. He was arraigned alongside 4 other members of the Police Intelligence Response Team. Since then, bail applications by Kyari and the 4 officers had been rejected. While in the ruling on Thursday, James Omotosho, the presiding judge, said the charges against the defendants are bailable. The court, however, added that Kyari's release from prison custody is dependent on what happens in another case in which he is being tried alongside 4 others for their alleged involvement in drug trafficking. I mean, Rufai, only yesterday we were discussing, the detention of the CBN or suspended CBN governor, as well as the suspended EFCC chairman, and now we are seeing that Abba Kyari has been released. But the fact still remains. What was the issue in the beginning? Why was his bail not granted to start with? Those are the questions a lot of people are asking right now.
Okay, so even with this bail granted, he might not be let out because it was a bail for 1 case. There's still another case. There are 2 substantive cases. Right. Number 1 case about, the connection to drug thing, that NDLA put against. Secondly is the declaration of assets, which is quite very shocking. And when you see the assets that were listed, I wonder, goodness me, a DCP had this level of assets and all of that. So that's one. Secondly, it's the legal process. I mean, somebody pointed out something to me this morning, and he said, Rufai, do you know that the entire Ekweremadu case, took 9 months from arrest to prosecution in the UK? But guess what? This Abba Kyari case has gone on over 18 months. And nothing has been done as regards this Abba Kyari case.
Despite the announcement made by the Guinness World Record for people attempting to break world records to properly confirm with their team before attempting to break any record, an upcoming artist identified as Sugar T proposed a 72-hour kissing marathon to be held in Ekiti State, while the government of Ekiti State on Wednesday banned the planned kiss-a-thon, reportedly billed to take place today, 7th of July. In a letter addressed to the Secretary of the State's Hoteliers Association, the Ekiti State government described the event as unhealthy, immoral, and capable of denting the image of the state. In the meantime, the Guinness World Record announced on Thursday that it has deactivated the longest kissing record because the competition had become too dangerous and some of the rules conflicted with their current updated policies. Dr. Abati, we took this story 2 days ago, and you were saying, what is the obsession with this Guinness World Record? And just to note that Guinness World Record had banned this actual kissing marathon, and we see that, you know, the desperation, is it what we call it now at this point, Dr. Abati?
No, this kissathon, pregnanton, cookathon, hackathon. In fact, there is even one that they have come up with now, prayathon by Wole Arole, who says he wants to pray for 5,000 hours. It's just showing that something is going wrong in Nigeria. Yeah, you know, gunning for the Guinness World Record has become an obsession with Nigerian youths, and we should be worried about that. You know, people looking for the easy way out to be famous. Now, the Singati in Ekiti State, Sugar tea. He has come forward to say that, well, he used it to chase clout.
Yeah.
That if he had said he wanted to do singathon because he's a musician, that nobody would have noticed him. But that now he has been invited by the Ekiti State government. Although he was not in town, you know, they told him, no, you can't do that here. We're a responsible state with very decent people. Don't come and denigrate the image of our state, kissing all over the place. So he said he didn't even want to do it. He wanted to promote himself. Yeah. And that now, state government has recognized him. And everybody has known a man called Sugar Tea.
So there's something in it.
In fact, he has changed the class so much that we are discussing him on international television.
Absolutely.
But I support what the Ekiti State government has done. You know, the Ekiti State government says, this is absurd, this is morally questionable. And it is just as well that the Guinness World Record too don't want people kissing all over the place.
16 years old Kamisiyochukwu Nkechinyere Ome, who emerged as a top scorer with an outstanding mark of 360, is the highest achiever in the 2023 UTME. Kamsi, a student of Deeper Life High School in Mowe, Ogun State, says her major role model is Pastor Dr. W.F. Kumuyi and Dr. Ben Carson. The Anambra State-born student says she has always been a lover of chemistry, where she scored 99 out of 100. Joining us now is Kamisiyochukwu Nkechinyere Ume, UTME highest scorer. Good morning, Kamsi. Welcome to the morning show and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So how did you check your result? And when you saw that result, you know, how did you feel? Because there's been so much talk about how people check their results, whether the result will have a photograph embossed or not. Take us through that process before we now focus specifically on you yourself.
Okay, when the results came out, I was in school, and they announced that the results were out like 7 days after I wrote the JAMB. It was a Tuesday when they told us that the results were out. So that Tuesday, I went to my guidance counselor and I asked her to call my mom for me and tell her that the results were out and that she should check it. So that Wednesday morning, the guidance counselor called me into her office and then she phoned my mom. So I spoke to my mom, and then my mom was the one who told me my results, my score. So I was not the one that checked it personally, it was my mom.
But the results slip, your results slip, what does it look like? Because JAMB, you know, put out a statement. They are saying that the results slip must have the photograph of the candidate.
I haven't seen my results slip personally, the JAMB printout. I haven't seen it. But I've seen the slips of my other classmates who have printed out their own results. So yes, there's like a photograph of them, I think about 2. One from the N9 and then one from the JAMB registration photo. Yeah.
So Kamsi, we're so proud of you.
Thank you.
You say this is your first attempt at writing the UTME. Some people have written this, you know, more than 5 times and not gotten anywhere to. Why did I look at you? But let me just, we're so proud of you. So tell us, I mean, you've shared the preparation stage. It's so great to see a young girl like you at only 16 years old, you know, having achieved such a feat. You've talked about how elated you were when you heard that you could score that result, but tell us the process, because greatness has a process. What was the process of you arriving as the best performing student in UTME 2023?
Is it my process of
Of
preparation?
your studying, your preparation? What did you do? Was there anything special that you did towards preparing, just for other people to learn as well?
Okay, I think the most special thing I did during my preparation was praying. I prayed a lot. Then I started early. I started preparation for the JAM exam immediately I entered SS3.
Okay.
I started reviewing past questions, just reading my books, and then in school, my school, Deeper Life High School, Kumuyi, we had like lots of classes, tests and retests, just trying to get us prepared. We had mock examinations of the JAM. They tried to get us to use our time well, to know how to time ourselves. And then me personally, I read my books. I solved a lot of past questions, just trying to familiarize myself with the kind of question that they can bring out. And then, as I said before, I prayed. So,
Well done.
yeah.
So one thing I know about academic success is that it doesn't come by reading. It comes by a reading habit.
Okay.
For the sake of Nigerians watching out there, can you tell us about your reading habit daily and your reading rigor?
Okay, my reading habits. In school, we have these like set times in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the night. They call them preps. So there's morning, afternoon, and night preps. So that's where I do majority of my reading. And then after the night prep, when we retire back to the hostel, I do a little reading in the night from 30 minutes to 1 hour. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, cumulatively in a day, you get to like 3, 4, 5 hours of reading or 6 hours of studying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you study like 6 hours every day.
Yes.
Well, tell us about your school, Deeper Life High School, because the school seems to have a reputation for producing geniuses like you. What is the school environment like? What kind of teachers do you have? Because Deeper Life High School everywhere, doing so well. Tell us about the school.
Okay, let me start with the teachers. We have excellent teachers in my school. I've never seen teachers like the ones we have in my school. They are so willing, they want us to succeed at all costs, and they are willing to make any sacrifice. Some of them, they come over, they live in the school, they leave like their houses or wherever they are staying as early as maybe 5 or 6 a.m. and then they can go home as late as maybe 10 or 11 in the night, just trying to teach us, to drill us, to make sure that, okay, these children are set and prepared for this exam. This school environment we are very involved in spiritual activities. I don't know, we pray, we have services. The environment is conducive, is good for us as learners. Yeah, the school is always trying to provide for us to make sure that we are okay in all senses, morally, spiritually, physically, health-wise, emotionally, in all those areas. So the school is a very good one. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so in terms of the next steps for you, your mom said that you love reading. In fact, you're going to pursue the arts, that you love literature. And I say that because Dr. Bati is, when you're an expert and want to look up to and a mentor in that regard, definitely he has that. But you decided to go with the sciences, chemical engineering. In fact, in your results, you got 99 out of 100 in chemistry, 98 out of 100 in maths, 97 out of 100 in physics, and then 66 in English language. That's impressive. Would you at any point consider, so are you still going for chemical engineering?
Yes.
You chose UNILAG, University of Lagos, as your university of choice. Is that still your choice? Because I hear some other universities are trying to woo you through scholarships and the likes. And then you also say you want to go forward to your master's, PhD. What are your plans? What do you want to do?
Well, I think you said it all. Yes, I'm going to UNILAG, but I'm actually considering other options apart from UNILAG, but like UNILAG is my first choice of university, and then I'm going to study chemical engineering, and then after that I'm looking forward to a master's outside the country, and then my PhD as well outside the country. So those are like my plans. And then for me, reading is not something that I may want to pursue like academically. It's more of a hobby for me. It's like my greatest hobby. I don't know what I love to spend my time doing. I love reading, literature. Any book I see, I just pick it up and I start looking at it. So it's like a hobby for me.
So, environment matters in the greatness of somebody. You couldn't have done all of this without the input of your parents.
Yes.
What role did they play in building this reading culture in you as we speak today? And how can we build that reading culture in our Nigerian society? Because our problem is we don't read. We are not the society that reads any longer. How can we help build that reading culture in society? The role of your parents first, then how can we generally improve reading culture and education in Nigeria?
My parents, they were my encouragers, as well as my school. But my parents, they were always encouraging me, always supporting me. You know, I'm a boarder, so they allow our parents to call us during the weekend, and then my parents, they never missed a weekend, always calling, always trying to find out how I am, encouraging me, supporting me. And then during my SS3, I actually did not really have any holidays, but the few that the school gave us, anytime I go home, my mom is like, my parents, my mom and my dad, they are always on my neck. They don't want to allow me to rest. They're like, Kamsi, go and pick up your books.
You can also tell them how much you love them and what they mean to you on live TV. It will be good, and speak to them.
I love my parents. Everybody loves their parents.
You can tell them how much it's on live TV.
I love my parents a lot, actually. My mom, my dad, I love them, and they mean the world to me, actually. So, yeah, I love them.
Okay, so how do we improve on the reading culture nationally now and education in general? What are those things you feel that students that have not the opportunity you have, how can they be better? You know, how can we improve them and improve the reading culture?
I feel even if, despite like efforts and everything, if someone wants to succeed, it's a matter of determination and choice. So, but, you know, how they can improve the reading culture, they can maybe in schools where students are, they can create like set times for them to read, and they're like, okay, during this time and this time, you guys have to read, you have to pick up your books. And then they should also encourage them to be determined to succeed, because me personally, I feel like despite the efforts that anyone puts in, the environment, the parents, whether or not a student will succeed is a matter of their decision, their choice. If a student is like, okay, I want to succeed, I want to achieve success, the student has to be determined, the student has to choose to succeed. And then after the student has made that choice to succeed, the student has to, you know, put in the effort. So determination helps with that. But then the environment of the students can also help by, you know, encouraging them, throwing in incentives from time to time, and, you know, just helping them, supporting them,
well,
something
quickly,
like that.
You've been quoted as saying you admire Pastor Kumuyi and also Dr. Ben Carson. We would like to talk briefly about those two role models.
Gifted hands.
Yes.
You read the book.
I have, okay, let me start with Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson is one of my role models, yes, because he, despite his background, despite where he came from, he has achieved so much. I think I've read all his books, Gifted Hands, Think Big, The Big Picture. I've read those 3 books, and then when I read those books, I feel so inspired, and I'm like, okay, I want to be like this one. And then Pastor Dr. W.F. Kumuyi, he's my greatest role model. Like, when he's the proprietor of my school, so we have like services, deeper life services in my school, and then anytime he comes up on stage to preach, I'm always awed by how he carries himself, how he talks, how he's not afraid to say what needs to be said, and how great he is, and the respect that people have for him. I've not met him personally, but I would really like to.
Well, let's continue on what's trending. Discussing the continued detention of the suspended chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdulrasheed Bawa, and the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, Well, on June 14th, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu suspended Bawa on the account of weighty allegations of abuse of office levied against him. His suspension was to allow for proper investigation of the allegations. Since then, he has been in custody of the Department of State Services. Reports say the DSS obtained a court order to detain Bawa for 2 more weeks, which has since elapsed, while human rights lawyer Belumi Olajengbesi has faulted the continued detention of the suspended EFCC chairman. Well, in a statement, the lawyer said Bawa's continued detention amounts to a violation of his fundamental human rights and wants the DSS to release him without further delay or charge him to court to face charges preferred against him. In the same vein, the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, who has been in DSS custody since June 10th, has not been charged to court. Rufai, last week we saw the story of Emefiele's brother coming out to say that, he believes that this is a political witch hunt and he believes his brother might die in jail. I mean, this flagrant disregard for the rule of law, which I would love for us to discuss when I take this other story. In another development, the Presidential Election Petition Court concluded hearing of petitions before it on Wednesday. The court has now adjourned for the adoption of final written address to a date to be communicated. Before the adjournment, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima and the All Progressives Congress closed their defense after calling Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele as their only witness. The team of lawyers in the APC camp also tendered loads of documents to further affirm that Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the February 25th presidential election. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Michael Zokome, said the documents the APC submitted were actually in favor of the petitioners.
The documents he tendered, particularly the report on the FCT, as a symbol of status and as a fountain of unity of the country, which they themselves tendered, was actually in favor of the petitioners. We were also able to elicit from the witness that Tinubu did not win in his own state, and that he was the only presidential candidate that did not win in his own state. All others won. Atiku won in his own state, Peter Obi won in his own state, and Kwankwaso won in his own state.
Well, I thought it was important to bring this important information to the public. A lot of people were talking about the fact that, the APC did not tender enough witnesses. I'll take a tweet from Bayo Ononugwa, who quoted the APC lawyer, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Latifa Gbemi. Well, he wrote, having taken a sober reflection of the entire case, we have enough evidence and we are not calling any witness. We do not intend to whip a dead horse. We announce the closure of the case of the third respondent, the APC. Rufai, if you can just...
If the APC says they've made all their deposition, they've called all their witnesses, a lot of people felt they were going to stretch it, but since they said they are not calling any more witness, that's it. INEC's case too was very short. In fact, INEC couldn't get a witness in the first case. I think it was against the Labour Party case, but they finally got the witness there for domestic issues. So they finished there. So it's for the court to be able to decide now. Let's see how it passes. But going back to Emefiele and Bawa, we should not do this to ourselves in this country. It smacks of a lot of injustice and political witch hunt. Charge them to court. And I think what the authorities, the DSS, normally hand under is this ACTA, and which a lot of people are beginning to call that ACTA should be reviewed. Because based on ACTA, they say once you get a magistrate to be able to sign, you can extend the date. But for Emefiele, what are even the charges? Because since they were talking about terrorism in the charges, it's not supposed to be a higher court that is supposed to sign up on that detention. But because what they do with ACTA, pretty much they get the slip, they get a magistrate to sign, and they keep filling the dates in. So you do the first 14 days, you another 14 days. With ACTA, sometimes you can go up to 56 days. And that's why ACTA should be reduced. Because when you now go back to the Constitution, you shouldn't detain somebody more than 24 hours without charging them to court. But this has gone longer for a while. They keep saying they're investigating. How long is it going to take you to investigate somebody and charge them to court?
It's unfair. It's almost becoming a norm, and it shouldn't be.
It's becoming a norm, and people are now using this law, the lacuna in this ACTA, to be able to punish people and violate human beings' rights. This man should be taken to court. I hear there's a court case coming up on the 13th of July for Emefiele. Let's see how that pans out.
Absolutely.
But this continued detention is abhorrent.
Well,
Ayo.
Illegality cannot beget illegality. One of the criticisms of the previous administration was their, in some cases, flagrant disregard to the rule of law. And the Tinubu administration does not want to start on that note. We are hopeful that we're moving away from that. He had mentioned a number of times that he was going to respect the judiciary, was going to respect the rule of law, and this is a clear way to demonstrate what he has said. The world is watching. If there are any charges against them, let them charge them to court and let him demonstrate that he is going to be different from what we had with the previous administration. Well said.
I wasn't in any way, shape, or form surprised by Mr. Festus Okoye's vituperations in your chambers.
Would you call it vituperations?
They are vituperations because they
his
have
own explanation.
No, they are vituperations. Vituperations are essentially outflows that do not flow from common sense, and that is what the gentleman did in your chambers here. Let me be very clear. INEC is a public body established by law, bound to work according to the law. It advertised its guidelines. It told the world what the guidelines were going to be. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. The reality is that for a long time, the electoral processes had been abandoned by Nigerians because they lack trust and confidence in the process. So the advertisement of beavers, the IRF and everything, they were quite vociferous in explaining to Nigerians and reassuring us of what would happen with the system. To now have Mr. Festus Okoye sit down here and open his mouth, there must be a disconnect between the mouth and the brain box for him to offer anything short of an apology, unreserved one, to Nigerians for the utter failure to pretended by INEC. Let me say this. In a sane environment where people are still governed by reason, the likes of Mr. Festus Okoye should either have resigned or be somewhere writing his statements, explaining to Nigerians what happened. Glitch. The question is that glitch. Is it a glitch in human brain, a glitch in the technical systems, or a glitch occasioned by the complete shutdown of human conscience? So when the person now comes here and he sits down and he begins to offer explanations at variance with common sense, as has been attested to by anybody who observed this election or was here in this country, all the evidences are very clear, and it shows very clearly that everything that should work on that day worked except INEC. The integrity of INEC as an institution went on exile. So if a person who is now purporting to speak on behalf of such an organization is so lacking in shame that he will sit down here and even things that shouldn't issue forth for. I'm no longer practicing, and I'm restrained in speaking to the case that is before the court.
So I like us to stay away from the personality of
no, it's not about
so that we can just say about.
No,
let's say on the issue, and I'd like to take you on some of the things he said to us. That is the explanation of the commission, that the commission within its capacity did its best. And let's look at it first and foremost. One of the things INEC promised was the beavers. So the question is, do you think that the beavers worked?
Everything worked except INEC.
Okay, so when you say everything worked except INEC, yes. What exactly do you mean by that?
Okay. I wasn't just speaking to the election. I participated. I was at the polling unit as designated. The beavers machine worked as much as it was allowed to work by human machinations. Because at my own polling booth, the first said, oh, some alphabets were not working, so they couldn't accredit those on time. We later realized that it was designed to frustrate some people into leaving. But people were determined to vote, so they waited. Eventually, in my place, they allowed the beavers machine to accredit those they had earlier left out. Voting did not end in my polling unit until about 8:40-something in the evening, and they did not finish counting until about 1:42 or 1:43
a.m.
a.m.
That's the following day.
Yes.
Is this isolated in your area, or was this what it was common around where you had friends, or what your party, for example?
It would be unfair to everybody concerned, including myself, for me to speak to what is outside my direct knowledge and participation. I'm speaking to what I saw. How many of those incidents you might find all over the country will be left to observers to say or speak to? But on the day in question, everything worked in my own space until it came to upload. And then they could upload House of Reps, they could upload Senate, but the presidential election result was not amenable to upload.
To your mind, what do you think went wrong?
It is very clear what went wrong. INEC deliberately, and I said this without any equivocation and with all sense of responsibility, INEC deliberately sabotaged the electoral process because it was working to a predetermined, obnoxious, and nauseous conclusion. It's not about the system failing. It's about human beings electing on their own to sabotage a system. This is, if I switch off the TV screen behind you, it goes off. But it requires my intervention to go off.
If you look at the 2015 election, I don't know if you participated, and you jump into 2019 and then 2023, if you look at those three last elections, how would you describe the development and the progress of our electoral process?
Let me put it this way. What INEC has done is that it has more or less placed our democracy. I wasn't always convinced as to the truthfulness of that exercise anyway, but what they have done essentially is to remove the place of the citizens, the place of the voters from the electoral process. It simply means that any two-bit person that is assigned to the office of the electoral, the chairman of INEC can do exactly what the resident commissioner in Adamawa did, and unilaterally on his own, following the example of Yakubu, declare anybody he cares to declare and say, go to court. So if you're looking at the 2015 election, the 2019 election, all I can tell you is that the 2023 election is the bottom pot of Nigerian electoral malfeasance. Everything that was ever wrong in elections came to the fore in 2023, essentially because Yakubu lost his sense of shame.
So when you are personalizing it...
it's not personalizing. I'm sorry, Shem, I need to clear this.
Yeah, because you are mentioning
I have to mention him.
And it's just one person in that
head. He is the head.
So what would you like him to...
The head is rotten.
You think he's to blame? What blame
is an institutional blame.
Okay.
The blame is for the entire institution. I dealt with INEC in Lagos on behalf of the Obi campaign. It was my brief to pick up the election material for the petition. I know the level of stonewalling, and I made sure to write officially at the time to let them know. I know the amount of stonewalling, deliberate stonewalling and delays that we encountered from the wreck in Lagos, and everybody concerned with giving us electoral material that we had paid for. We had to bring copiers from outside, from Rank Xerox, to come to INEC, to come and make photocopies. It was that bad. They stonewalled us every step of the way. So if I'm saying Yakubu, I'm only speaking about Yakubu as a type, not as a person. He is a type, but he is the one who sits at the head of the organization.
So you think the 2023 outing of
INEC is the worst ever?
So, but how then do you think the election was rigged or was manipulated, or how would you describe it?
Put it this way. If we're speaking to the participation of Nigerians, their involvement in the process, you cannot fault Nigerians. Across the political divides, we might have our differences, we had our arguments, but the beauty of democracy is that when you vote and somebody emerges in a clear and credible process, you applaud. And then you go away, you go prepare for the next election, expecting and hoping that you'll be able to persuade the people by showing how bad the policies of the people who have won might have been, so that they will vote for you the next time. But in a situation where you see the level of brigandage that were evidenced, especially on March 18, not just the 25th now, the level of violence, intimidation, complete takeover of the city space by criminal elements, ably abetted by agents of state.
These are outside of the roles of INEC, isn't it?
Let me put it this way. if INEC as an institution is examined, and then you look outside, you don't look beyond INEC, you'll first of all be having a distorted picture. Is a system. INEC is only a part of that system. The judiciary is a part of that system. The police is a part of that system. It's a systemic failure. But we are dealing specifically with INEC. And that's why you may, and as you have pointed out, say, okay, what about INEC? Point is, INEC, it was the principal failure on the day. Every other one was tangential.
Mr. Farotimi, you
Yes,
look
sir.
at it, your party, the Labour Party, has presently about 34 seats in the House of Reps. If you say the process is flawed, how did you achieve that?
I'll tell you. If you recall, when I was explaining what happened on the day, I said when it came to uploading the House of Reps, it worked okay, right? When it came to uploading the House of the Senate, it worked all right. But the presidential election upload was deliberately sabotaged. Those were my words. So that does not in any way, shape or form contradict the position.
So you look at it again and say, IREV is what you see as a major problem. Promise made by INEC?
No. See,
what in what sense? Because the upload of result is about the IREV.
No.
Which INEC itself, they said they had a glitch. The glitch is what was difficult to explain right here.
Look,
whether it was human glitch or a mechanical glitch, was a difficult one to explain.
So, the Americans have this funny thing they say. They say if it waddles like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's most likely a duck. You tell me you have a technical glitch. I'm something of a Luddite. I can hardly find my way around my phone. But I do know that if I have a glitch of any sort, there are digital footprints that any techie person would be able to analyze and tell to the world exactly what the case might have been.
So the question I'd like to ask you is that if uploading is what really worried at the process...
It's not uploading that worries me.
So I'm asking, from the evidence that you have, because there are copies of the result at every polling unit,
yeah.
What are you learning about what you have on your hands manually, aside what is supposed to be technically uploaded or transmitted?
What we know as a fact is that Yakubu cannot rationally explain to anybody in the world how he arrived at the result that he announced. Because what we have is at variance with what they are even busy uploading in most cases. Even though they have not even finished uploading up until today. And yet, a winner was declared by INEC.
So you think the original result and what we have is far apart?
No. The integrity of that election has been undermined and compromised almost beyond repair by INEC, because what it is uploading on its portal, what individuals took away as from EC8A, the agents, they are not consistent.
All right. So I would like us to anchor on this point. When you hear Mr. Peter Obi say, I'm not asking, that he's more bothered about the process.
Yeah.
Is it that he's lost hope in winning at the tribunal? Or what exactly does this mean?
I think there is
or
a
what is a way forward from this point?
Thank you. There is a misunderstanding when Mr. Obi says that, and I would explain. When he says that he's focused on the process, what he's explaining is that the process itself, if it is flawed, fundamentally flawed, open to manipulation, not transparent, what it has produced cannot be said to be good. So let's deal with that process, look at how it has affected the outcome. If the process is deemed to be bad, the product is obviously not going to be acceptable. It is our belief that if the judiciary is indeed the last hope of the common man, if it is not to capitulate and ensure the death of this democracy, then it must look at the process that has produced the incongruent situation that we have found ourselves in today, and then tell us, is this normal Is this as it should be? Is this the precedence we want to set for elections in our country? That is up to the judiciary.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.